How does a 2004 Lamborghini Gallardo perform in super cold weather? The short answer is not very well, but the long answer is this car is so damn fun to drive that I'm going to do it anyways because I can't help but leaving it for a long period of time. Something a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know till I owned my first exotic car, well, this is the only exotic car I have ever owned, is that older ones die if you let them sit for a while. Your average daily driving car, you let it sit for a month, you're on vacation, you come back, turn it on, no problem. These cars, same is true with the Ferrari 430, cars of that era, if you let them sit for maybe over 2 weeks, you come back, if they're not hooked up to a trickle charger, battery is dead. So let's hope it starts. Haven't driven this in about a week or so since I bought the S-Class, been driving that every day, in love with that car, gonna make more videos on that. But let's start it up. The one good thing, basically the only good thing about not driving this super often is the cold starts. So listen to this. The car is basically so loud when it starts up initially, you can't have a conversation with people if you're anywhere near the car without raising your voice. Let me close the door. Let it warm up for a little bit, take it out, and I'll go over some more detail of the limitations of driving this car. It's currently about 10 degrees outside, so it does struggle in some areas. I'm going to point those out. Now this is a problem when it's warm out, but it's exacerbated by the cold. So in tight radius turns, I don't know if you can hear that, but if you have even tighter radius turns than that, the wheels and the all-wheel drive system put extra stress on the drivetrain. They kind of lock up and then release, and it causes this chunking noise and kind of skipping of the tires that sounds a bit like the car is braking. It's like chunk, 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 skipping as you're making the turn. For passengers who don't know what's going on, it sounds to them like the Gallardo is being destroyed. Well, you could probably hear and see that. Barely any throttle at all, and the tires spin. I've got Pirelli P0 summer tires on it. Obviously not good for the winter. The thing is, these cars come equipped with summer tires. It's a performance vehicle. So if you do drive it in the winter and you leave performance tires on, they become absolute rocks. So the only real way to drive with any sort of speed when the temperature drops low is to put all-season tires on it. It can be difficult with rim sizes and stuff like that, and getting the right width. But a property of summer tires is when it gets cold out, they basically become rocks, and you don't get very much traction at all. So you have to remember that despite the fact that this has all-wheel drive, and in summer months, you can floor it from pretty much any RPM, and with the stock horsepower output, you don't spin the tires. When it's cold, not the case at all. It lights the tires up at less than half throttle. So, need to be very careful, and it makes the car less enjoyable during the winter for sure. Now the E-gear transmission has its quirks, there's no doubt about that, and compared to the double clutch system in the Huracan, it is light years behind. All of the problems are exacerbated when it's cold. Starts from a standstill are even more jerky, shifts aren't quite as smooth. But the biggest problem that I've noticed after driving this car for, let's see, almost 6,000 miles now, is that if it's really cold and you're at a standstill, the car tends to rev a little bit higher. And when it revs a little bit too high during idle, and you give it too much gas at the start, the revs drop and the car shuts off and it stalls. Why this happens, I'm not quite sure, but I'm not the only one that's experienced this in the Gallardo. Maybe I'm one of the few that's crazy enough to drive it in 10 degrees out. But definitely stalling in cold weather, despite the fact that this is not your typical manual with a clutch pedal, is a problem. Another issue with the Gallardo and high-performance cars in general in cold weather is that the brakes tend to squeal. And sometimes they squeal extremely loud, and it makes it sound like, one, you need new brakes, and it makes your car seem like a pile of shit. So when you're driving down the road in a car like this, and you come to a stop and you're in the middle of town and all you hear is ee, 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 it's a little bit embarrassing. Nothing you can do about it, but certainly a downside during the winter. I had the opportunity to drive my Gallardo a little bit in the snow about a week ago. And surprisingly, it did pretty well, despite even having performance summer tires on it. It did better than my rear-wheel drive BMW M5. Obviously, it's a little low, so it became a bit of a snow plow, and I'm not going to drive it often in the snow due to salt and stuff like that. But one of the largest issues, and this is true about all cars, but it's a little scarier when you're driving an exotic car, is when there's snow on the ground and when it's really cold, people don't realize that their stopping distances increase dramatically. It's one thing to have traction around turns and when accelerating, but if you hit the brakes too hard, your wheels are going to lock up and you're going to slide a lot farther than you want to. The issue is not you driving your car down the road, but other people on the road. So if someone is behind you with their iPhone trying to take a picture, trying to capture exhaust note, and they don't realize that I'm coming to a stop, their stopping distance is gonna increase dramatically because there's snow on the ground and they could possibly rear end you. So your nerves are definitely heightened during the snow, partially because this isn't a fantastic winter vehicle, obviously, but another reason is everyone else on the road becomes more of a hazard. There you go. There's some things that kind of suck about driving a Gallardo in cold winter months. Hope you found this video informative. Like always, please browse our channel and subscribe. Look forward to seeing you next video.